Alright guys, so today we're back in the shop yet again. We're going to be working on the E30. I'm going to be redoing actually the rear bash bar on the car. When I had originally made it, I didn't have the aftermarket fiberglass bumper, and I kind of mocked it off of just a plastic slide-in style bumper. So it's not entirely 100% correct. I also built it about a ½ inch too low. So when I bolted everything up to the car, and I'll show you guys right now, I had this really wonky ass panel gap, as you can see right here. And it just looks like fucking ass. Goes all the way across. I mean, the gap's consistent, but it just looks terrible. I want that bumper up nice and snug against the back of the car, and that way I can make some kind of little like pop rivet, nutsert kind of things to kind of hold the bumper up, so it's not just dangling off the rear bash bar and the two quick releases on both sides of the quarter panel. So we're going to tackle that today. We got our metal from Hamilton Beach Steel. We got 166 by 100 wall, which is more than enough for what we're going to be using for the back of the car. I would have liked to get 1.75 by like a 120 or a 95, but it is what it is. So we're gonna be using that. We're gonna bust out the old pipe bender, get that stuff going. I'll show you guys kind of how I use that to get majority of my bends relatively clean. Weld all that stuff up, slap it in, make sure the bumper's all good, and should be good to go. Alright, so this is that rear bash bar that I was talking to you guys about. This is just dollar store pool noodle, cut in half, zip tied over top so the fiberglass wouldn't rub against the actual bare metal and cause cracking in the body kit. We are going to be cutting this off. We're going to make a brand new one that's going to be stronger, better in every way possible, because this one is absolutely junk. So I'm going to cut this off now, and then I'll show you guys kind of what's going on after we get this off the car. Alright guys, so this is literally the reason why I'm changing this. Me and my buddy Ryan were fucking around with it, and we were like, oh, let's try and see if we can lift the car up because it's so light. And it was on jack stands, but the wheels were off, and we were trying to bench press the car by lifting it up by the bash bar. And then me and him were like, oh, yo, let's both try it. So we both grabbed the side, gave it a yank, and we actually bent the bar up, which means the mounting points that I put on the frame were garbage. So we're gonna cut all that stuff off. I might even be able to break stuff by hand. I'm gonna try it real quick and see what happens, because this is probably like one of the worst welding jobs I've probably ever done. And this is exactly why I'm changing it, because I've learned a lot since I made this bar in terms of like strength and stuff like that and placement. So we're definitely gonna replace this, but like I can literally bend this by hand. It's gonna break in about 2 seconds. Well, that side's fully off. And this side's pretty much off too. And that is exactly why we are replacing that. Alright, so pretty much how I'm going to start this is I'm going to measure from quarter panel to quarter panel. Now I've already gone and done that, and it's 56.5 inches long. So what we're going to do is 56.5 divided by 2 is 28.5 inches. So now I'll measure from the outside skin to the center, mark my 28.5 inches. That's going to be my center reference line for when I do all the tube bending. I'm going to also do a reference line on the tube. It's 6 feet long, so I'll find my center point from that, mark it out, and that way I'll have something to reference off of every time I bring the tube back from the bender, and double check, make sure everything's good, and I won't lose kind of where it's supposed to sit on the body. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple marks on the tube, get that kind of all finalized, start throwing it in the bender. We'll do a couple small test runs, make sure everything's good before we go for the full-on bend. And then I'll start mocking it up and test fit it and show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so before we even start bending, I'm going to show you a quick tip and trick as to what's going on here. I am using a pipe bender for tube. There's a bit of a difference there. If you guys don't know what it is, just do a quick Google search and you'll see 1,000,001 videos. What I'm going to be using is just a roll of tape. I'm going to throw it on the bottom of the pipe, fill the pipe up with either sand, gravel, dirt, whatever I have on hand at the time, put tape on the other end. And then the inside of that pipe is now solid with all that material in it. And as I'm bending it with the pipe bender, it's going to flex that material against the sidewall and not allow the metal to actually flat spot. Flat spot is when the bottom of the metal will actually crinkle and it'll flatten out at the top, and it just looks super crappy, and I don't want that. I want a nice smooth bend, so I'm going to be using this guy. I've used it plenty of times in the past, never had any issue. So as long as you guys do that trick, you guys will be good to go. This was about 80 bucks as opposed to about $1,000 for a floor mounted system. So I think that's pretty good, cost-effective way to get a nice bend out of, you know, just some budget material. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill my pipe up full of dirt and we'll start bending. Alright guys, so ready to go. I got my dirt packed into the pipe. I got both ends taped off. I'm gonna load it into the die real quick, make sure everything's good, center everything out, bust out the angle finder, and we'll start bending. Alright, so right now we're just going to fit the rear bumper setup all up, and I'm going to kind of measure out what I need to actually make the mounts to mount this to the body of the car. So I'm going to show you guys that real quick, kind of see what's going on and kind of how far I've gotten so far. And now you can kind of see the idea that I was going for in the beginning. I couldn't really explain it, but now we have a rear jacking point. We have full coverage on both sides. The bumper still clears. So that's kind of all we really needed. So I'll show you guys that real quick and then we'll keep going.
We also have a badass LS400 here.
Oh yeah, where is it? I don't see it. So yeah, this is pretty much what it looks like right now. That'll be the jacking point. This whole thing swings up, it's just dangling right now. These two arms on both sides, left and right, they go all the way inside the frame, all the way down the channel right to the back section. I'm gonna weld it, plug weld it all the way across, weld the brace right here at the front of the rail, and I can literally hang off this thing and it's not going absolutely anywhere. So I really think that this will probably help me out quite a bit. As you guys saw before, that thing busted off by hand. This thing's not going anywhere now. So I'm gonna start cutting this up, measuring it up a little bit, kind of figure out what I need to cut there, and should be good. Alright, so I'm pretty sure that wraps this whole portion up, guys. This thing's fucking sick. It's, you know, it's super sturdy. I stood on it, jumped on it, tried to pick the car up, and yeah, it's holding up pretty good. I tied everything directly right to the back of the frame rail, so I made like a 35-inch long piece. I didn't catch it on camera, I apologize. I did about a 35-inch long piece, slid it directly all the way down the rail, welded it from the bottom side, plug welded it all the way across, welded it to the inside of the frame, and then that ties into the rear trunk portion, and that goes across to the whole kind of structure of the car. So this thing is like fucking rock solid. It's not going anywhere. We also installed a jacking point, which is also pretty awesome. So I don't have to go all the way under the diff and then smash the bumper as I'm going up and down to lower and raise the car. So far I'm very happy with this. As you guys saw from what we came from to this, like, it's just night and day. This is what I should have done originally, and I still regret not just doing this in the first place, taking the time. So if you guys are ever doing a project at home, just always make sure that you guys take the time to kind of do it correctly the first time, and that way you don't have to go back and do it a second time or a third time, depending on what it is. And it'll just save you guys so much hassle and headache and stress and stuff like that. But yeah, like I always say, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one. Oh yes, it fucking fits.